Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Kirsty Runs Wild. I am 22 weeks pregnant in a few hours. It's 9 o'clock on Tuesday, July 22nd. And it's been about, what, a week and a half since I filmed the last video, which I felt like honestly was too long because at the beginning of my pregnancy, there was so much happening in the first trimester, but then there was like many weeks in the first trimester where I feel like nothing happened. And I was like, maybe weekly videos is too much for the frequency. But then as I went along, I was like, oh my God, so much is happening now. Like, there's so much to update you guys on that I really could do well to do literal weekly videos. Because there's literally just so much to unpack, and I could talk so much about each of these topics, but I'll try to keep it concise because I do have quite a couple of things to cover. So, the first one that I didn't mention a week and a half ago that I could have talked about because it had already happened was that I did tell my boss at work that I was pregnant. So I was about 19 weeks when I told her, I think. And yeah, it was just I had spoken to a lot of different people in my support network, like my therapist, my psychiatrist, my friends, my sponsor, about it. And we just decided it was like time. I'm a therapist, so there was just like a bunch of different implications that I was a little bit afraid of confronting. One of them being like, what's going to happen with my benefits and my health insurance coverage. It's kind of complicated, and I don't really want to get into the weeds explaining it, but basically I'm paid per client, and my benefits depend on if I see enough clients and have enough clients scheduled to continue my full-time status. And what basically might happen is approaching maternity leave and telling clients and new clients that I'm going to be leaving in November for six. I'm planning on leaving for 5.5 months. I'm going to call it six. That obviously, like, you don't want to be starting with a new therapist that's pretty much about to go on maternity leave. It takes clients like a long time to warm up to somebody. Typically, it's hard to tell them your whole story and then have to like switch therapist to someone else and tell them your whole story again. Some clients like might do some shorter term work, others might not like really care to if they have to switch therapists. Some people are just happy to get one immediately because there are long wait lists at a lot of places people are calling. So, but in general, I was nervous that, I wouldn't be able to fill up my caseload with clients, therefore not being able to fulfill full-time status and then have to lose my benefits right before I go on maternity leave. So I was pretty nervous about talking to my boss about this because I didn't know what her take was going to be on it. And in the end, it was, a bit of a difficult conversation. It was, she was very excited for me, and I was really grateful that she expressed the excitement she did. And then I think she kind of like processes out loud, and I'm her first full-time employee that has gotten pregnant and is taking maternity leave. So she doesn't really know, like, kind of the logistics of it yet because she hasn't gone through it with an employee yet. So this will be her first time navigating what maternity leave looks like for somebody that's her employee. And what that kind of does with benefits and stuff. So, I did have a coworker leave on maternity leave last year, but she was part-time. So she didn't have the benefits like health insurance or 401k or the FSA account that I have that may be impacted by this leave. So, so the long and the short of it was we've been having different kinds of conversations, trying to navigate and iron out what this will look like. I'm taking, like I said, 5.5 to 6 months of maternity leave through PFMLA, which that's something we have in Massachusetts starting in 2021. They implemented this kind of, I don't know what you call it exactly, like law that instead of FMLA, which is Family Medical Leave Act, we have PFMLA now, which is Paid Family Medical Leave Act, which entitles, so not every business pays into PFMLA, but a lot of them do in Massachusetts, and mine is one of them. So that is in our employee handbook. That's how we get our maternity leave. We don't have another maternity leave. We just use the PFMLA benefits. And I have a lot of friends that have done it since it was implemented in 2021, and they've all had pretty good experiences with it. The pay you get is about 60 to 80% of your paycheck, and they've all been happy with that. You are entitled to 12 weeks of bonding time with your baby when you have a child, and so is the dad. So through PFMLA, Zach will also be getting 12 weeks of paid leave for bonding. So that's pretty cool. And then in addition to 12 weeks for the birthing person, we can also get up to an additional 12 weeks for whatever your doctor signs off on, for like the medical part of leave for pregnancy related stuff. So, you know, doctors will sign off on different amounts for different reasons. Like one of the reasons you would get medical kind of leave as well is if you were recovering from a C-section. Some doctors just say, listen, birth is medical enough. Like, you know, you can have the 12 weeks to recover medically anyway, or any iteration under 12 weeks. It could be 8 weeks. They could give you 4 additional weeks, whatever. So, I asked my OB straight up what she would be giving me and if it would matter, like what happened with me if I had a C-section or not. And she said, I'm signing off on all 12 weeks. What's it to me? Like, she's like, of course, I'm going to give you the full 12. So basically, that means I would be getting 12 weeks bonding, 12 weeks medical. Well, I would take the medical first and then the bonding, technically, through the PFMLA application. And that equals 24 weeks of paid, you know, that 80%-ish pay, paid leave for maternity leave. And so 24 weeks is about 5.5 months. So I'm just calling it 6 months. And I decided to start that probably mid-November. My due dates, this is the hard part. Like, my due date is November 26th, which is the day before Thanksgiving. And so it's hard to know like when to start the leave, because I don't want, like, you know, in a perfect world, I wouldn't want like my water breaking in session and having to go into labor. Like, so I would like a week off, like ideally before the baby comes. But, you know, if we go down the line and if for some reason I need to have like my C-section scheduled or something, like, then I can play with when my leave would start a little bit more specifically. But, if like I don't have that case and I'm just waiting for labor to start naturally, then it's tough to say, because I could go like up to 42 weeks. And what am I going to be doing for 3 weeks or 4 weeks? Like if I start my leave like November 14th. But, you know, I don't know. It is what it is. I think I'm just kind of telling my boss that it would start probably mid-November. So I'm saying like November 14th. I think that's a Monday or something. So just so like we have some sort of target to start working with. And we'll just be flexible as we go. Obviously, who knows what's going to happen, but you got to have some sort of plan, right? So that is that. And planning on like coming back to my job part or full time. And yeah, so we're just kind of working with all of that. And so that was telling work. And so I haven't told clients yet. I think I'll do that in a couple of weeks. That brings me to kind of like, I guess I have started to show like in certain outfits, and when I'm relaxed and around certain people, they'll be like, oh, you've popped. Like, and that kind of started to happen around like week, I would say like 20, 21. Like I think I started to really just like pop out to that next level. It's hard because I'm overweight anyway, and like I've always kind of had a belly like throughout this pregnancy, so it took longer, I think, to see a difference than it would for someone that was in like a smaller body frame. And even so, it's still kind of like, if I wear certain clothes, like you can just probably interpret it as like I'm just gaining weight. And I'm playing that like side of things for my clients. So I'm like not wearing maternity clothes yet, because a lot of maternity clothes like are made to make you look pregnant as opposed to like hide your belly. So I haven't told my clients yet. I want to be very intentional and like curated about how I tell each of them and how I deliver that message. So giving myself a few more weeks before my boss and I come up with a game plan about that. So more to come on that front. And so, yeah, so I did get a couple of rounds of like clothes when I left because clothes like overwhelm me so much. I feel like I have so many clothes and like I've just been so many different sizes over the years that I just have like a very poor management system of how I manage all of the clothes that I have, and I don't want to get rid of them because what if I'm that size again? And like then you just have like so many different like wardrobes of clothes around, and I just feel like it's clothes mountain. And I've just been like nesting since I found out I was pregnant, and just but not with the productivity of nesting, just like the anxiety of nesting half the time. So I'm like, I really need to purge my clothes, but like I'm not purging my clothes. Like it's like this lackluster purge where I'm like, one day like I'll do a little bit, and then like I don't have the same momentum, but I have the anxiety of the momentum. So it's just it's like I have a headache just thinking about it. But so in that vein, one of my friends from AA had a baby, two babies, and she's done. And her youngest is almost a year. So she's like, oh my God, I was just going to donate all my maternity clothes. Do you want to go through them? And I was like, yes. Like, because I've been looking at maternity clothes and it's like, come on, they're so expensive. Like everything's so expensive. But like, and I do not like thrifting. Like I hate it. It's so overwhelming. Some people love it. I just like hate it. It's literally my nightmare. Like, literally my nightmare. So I don't want to do that. So I took all her maternity clothes and I went through them, and that was really stressful. I actually still have the pants I have to go through. But I found like 15 tops / dresses that I just think are so cute. And all of them, like I said, like accentuate the belly. So once I tell my clients, I'll be able to wear a lot of those to work. And I'm already going to be able to wear them like over the weekends and stuff. And I just feel so much cuter because it's like my clothes are just outdated and frumpy and like whatever. So I'm really excited about that. Even though it was stressful to like have to go through them, I'm like grateful for that. So that happened. Something else that happened was that my friend that just had a baby 4 months ago, she has two boys and that was her second boy, and now she's done, gave me a bunch of her baby's clothes that he's already grown out of. So even though he's only like 4 months old, he's grown out of, newborn stuff, 0 to 3 months, even some 3 to 6 months because he's a big baby. So I got a lot of baby clothes from her. Now, extremely grateful for that. That was incredible. And it's the both and. It's also was extremely overwhelming because going through my brain, I'm just like, I make such hard work out of such simple decisions. It's so hard for me to like say yes or no to every single piece of clothing. And it took me and Zach probably like 3 or 4 weeks to do. We do like 1 or 2 bags a week. Like we'd pick like a weekend day and go through them. But I did it. We pushed through. We have a lot. I think it's hard to know like what you're going to need as a first time mom. So I washed all of the ones I'm keeping and I folded them and I put them in like Rubbermaid containers until we get the nursery furniture and I can organize better. Still not really sure how I'm going to organize them, honestly. It's like until I feel like I'm using them and I know how I'm using them, I'm not going to know how to organize them, but I feel like I'm not going to want to organize once I have the baby. I don't know. So it's just like super hard, again, for me to like know what to do. But yeah, so I did that though. I went through all of them. So basically, both the woman that gave me the maternity clothes and the woman that gave me the kids' clothes said, just donate them after. So my friend Jess is having a baby. So I think I'm going to give them to her so she can go through them and then, or not if she doesn't want to, and then I'll just donate whatever she doesn't want. So that was that. It's pretty overwhelming, especially with like hormones, just like everything. I make mountains out of molehills anyway, and with the hormones it's like crazy. Like the hormones lately, guys, like oh my god, the past like month or two, I mean the anxiety is visceral. It's like different. Like I'm already like clinically diagnosed with generalized anxiety. I have been for a long time. Like, but the way the anxiety is manifesting in pregnancy is like pounding heart. Like just like very fast doom and gloom along with the anxiety, and just like very physical symptoms in a way that I've just never felt before. So it's pretty jarring. It's pretty intense and really hard to get out of. So I've been struggling with like irritability, overwhelming feelings, and I get in low moods because of those things. Like, I don't really have like depression standalone. It's like as a byproduct because I'm so overwhelmed, and then I get kind of like paralyzed and I get a feeling of hopelessness, and then I'm like in a bad mood, and then I'm irritable at everybody. So it's like very hard to get out of my own way in that sense because I know what's happening and I know why. I know it's like got this extra edge to it because of the hormones, but I can't stop it because of that awareness. So it's like been very difficult. Happens like a few times a week, and I'm really grateful to have just like a very patient partner that like tries to make me feel better and doesn't take it personally and can like get space from it most of the time. So I'm like just really lucky for that, and I definitely like need to be better